We have a local mother, a former cow share owner, and co-founder of the Farm Food Freedom Coalition. She is a proponent for raw milk and all the great things that come along with it. Liz Reitzig is our guest. Ms. Reitzig, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
So there was a hearing yesterday in Annapolis on this. There really is a major movement in favor of raw milk. Why should people prefer raw milk over pasteurized milk? Isn't there a bacteria problem here?
Well, no, there's not. That's a perception. There's two kinds of raw milk. There's raw milk that's intended for pasteurization, and then there's raw milk that's intended for human consumption. And the raw milk that's intended for human consumption, that comes from grass-fed cows, and it's clean raw milk. And most of the people who switch from pasteurized to raw milk, they experience a dramatic increase in health, whether it's weight loss or a decrease in allergies or improvement from asthma symptoms. That's their real-life experience. And when people experience that, they want to keep having the food that brought them that experience.
So what is actually being lost here nutritionally in the pasteurization process? I thought the only thing pasteurization killed off was the stuff you don't want, bacteria.
Well, no, it also destroys enzymes. So enzymes are proteins, and they can be flattened during the heating process and denatured. So it destroys that, and enzymes help with some of the digestive processes. So lactase is one of the enzymes, and that helps our bodies digest the lactose, which is the milk sugar. So a lot of people who think they're lactose intolerant, they're actually not. The milk is just missing the enzyme that helps their body digest the lactose.
All right. So, but why then would the FDA require that the vast majority of the milk consumed in this country be pasteurized?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the fact that the dairy industry is a very powerful lobby, and they're protecting their interests. Because when people go directly...
Well, hold it. The dairy interest is, they're going to sell milk either way, right?
Well, no, we're seeing a huge, huge decline in demand for pasteurized milk. And in Maryland, the past 20 years, we've seen that we've lost hundreds and hundreds of dairy farms.
Well, I think what Brian means is the dairy industry does. Why should they care whether it's pasteurized or not? Because either way, they're going to sell.
They're going to sell if it comes from the cow. It's going to be either pasteurized or it's not going to be pasteurized.
Well, generally speaking, in raw milk sales, it's a direct transaction. So consumers are going directly to the farmer and saying, okay, I will pay you anywhere from $5 a gallon to $15 a gallon.
So you're saying that the evil milk conglomerates don't like
milk.
Yeah, big milk. That's right. Don't like the fact that some people are going around them to buy their milk in the raw form directly from the farmer.
Exactly. And they all, right now, milk prices are controlled. And when people go direct to farmers, they lose that control.
So talk about what's happening in Maryland here, because I was astounded to see how much money, like millions of dollars right now,
millions?
Going to Pennsylvania farmers, because in Pennsylvania this is legal, right? And then they're transporting this raw milk across state lines?
Yes, which is illegal. It's actually if I go to Pennsylvania and legally buy a few gallons of milk for my family and then bring it back to Maryland, I am now committing a federal offense. And
you don't do that, do you?
Raw milk across
you would
state
never
lines.
do that, right?
So obviously it's very important to me to have access to raw milk in Maryland so that I don't have to be turned into a criminal every time I go get a gallon of milk for my kids.
And this is a big thing. There's a lot of people that do this.
There's so many. It's in the hundreds of thousands.
Let me ask you this. What about milk spoiling? If you pasteurize your milk, does the milk keep better? Will the raw milk spoil faster?
Not at all. Raw milk actually stays fresher longer, and raw milk also has properties in it that help it naturally sour. So it turns into, once it stops being fresh, it turns into something called clabber.
Yes.
Which is very similar to yogurt. And a lot of people actually prefer it to yogurt, but it's the natural fermentation process of milk. And then it separates into curds and whey. And the curds are like cream cheese, and you can mix in fruit and honey, or you can mix in herbs and garlic.
So that's what Little Miss Muffet was rocking there. Okay, I did not know that.
No, I'm really not making fun of you, but I would worry about having milk that wasn't pasteurized. All my life I've been told, drink pasteurized milk.
Yeah, Louis Pasteur saved the world.
That's right. It's supposed to be good for you. It's got rid of all of the bacteria. It is safe. And you're telling me that it's actually just as safe to drink raw milk? And if it is, then why do we go through all this?
Well, it's actually safer. because statistically, looking at the actual statistics, you're much more likely to get sick from pasteurized milk than raw milk. And I can tell you, I can relate to where you were. 10 years ago, I was kind of doing the same thing. I said, well, obviously pasteurization happened for a reason. And it did. But the reason was that cows were being fed the waste from the distilleries, and they were being kept in awful conditions, and there was no closed milking systems, and it was an inferior product, at the turn of the century. But we're in 2014 now, and we have refrigerated trucking, we have closed milking systems, and we have basic sanitation. People wash their hands. People know how to do these things now.
Okay, but hold on a second now. I got to ask you, because, listen, I'm not well-versed on raw milk, but I did some searches this morning, and just 3 days ago, they found listeria contamination in raw milk in South Dakota, near Jersey Dale Farms. Now, isn't that a problem if there truly is listeria in this raw milk? Is there something wrong at the factory there?
Well, not necessarily, because listeria is present in very minute amounts in many, many foods, but it's not at a level that makes anyone ill from it. So if you actually look for listeria in foods or on equipment, you're going to find it everywhere.
All right.
Well,
Liz, that does not necessarily cause illness.
Liz Reitzig, you did a great job, promoting this and telling us your position on this. Obviously, Brian and I are new to this subject,
this is new to me.
But clearly there is a movement on this, and we really appreciate you coming on. Liz Reitzig, local mother and a former cow share owner, and she is the co-founder of Farm Food Freedom Coalition. Thanks for joining us.